over to you.
I was going to start. Stuart, did you want to say anything at the beginning?
Yes. I appreciate everybody taking the time to look at PrintBoss with us. And PrintBoss is a very flexible, very simple program. And what we're going to show today are a few features that everybody uses in PrintBoss, and start to show all that PrintBoss can do. If anybody has any questions or wonders whether PrintBoss can do something more, please ask, because chances are it does. And but we're going to show emailing and check printing today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paula and let her dazzle you with PrintBoss.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you just a little bit about PrintBoss before we start printing, so you can get an idea how the program works. So PrintBoss has forms that work with the Sage 300 different modules, and we're going to show you something with the AP module today. In the PrintBoss form, you can set copies, and those copies can be used, and you have to excuse my forms files. Yours would not look like this. It's just as I have forms for everything. But on the form file, you can set copies that do different things. And the copies, I should have gone into the editor first, are set on the Multi-Parts and Printers tab. So you can see in this particular form today, I have set up to print a check. Because it's a check, I'm going to show you the positive pay feature. So you can see that PrintBoss can create a payee match or positive pay file at the same time that it's creating the check. I do have a PDF copy on this particular form. I'll show you just briefly how that works, and then email. Now typically, of course, email would not be used with a live check, but with a direct deposit statement or an EFT. But we wanted to show you the email feature as well. And this is the Enterprise Edition that we are using. So you can see that there is a copy on this form for each one of those features. I'm just going to print now so you can see how it looks. And actually, so I didn't have so much on my screen, well, I have enough on my screen anyway, I set aside a file that's going to simulate the print process so we can use it over and over again instead of also having Sage up on my screen. So this was generated when I printed a sample file from Sage 300 to PrintBoss. So I'm just going to copy this over PrintBoss, and then we'll go back and talk about each of the modules individually. Typically what would happen at this point is PrintBoss would choose the bank automatically, but I wanted you to see that PrintBoss will generate a list of the banks that are available in your bank list in PrintBoss if it does not find a match. So I'm going to tell PrintBoss to update it, select the bank that I want and click OK, and then it's going to process all of those files. I do have the email intentionally set to pause so I can show you what information is coming across. So you can identify with it when we look at email in more detail. So in the message body, for example, I pulled the name from the PrintBoss form. I also pulled the amount for the statement and the date. We can also change the name of the PDF attachment in the Enterprise Edition, and we can get into other features if you have questions about what we can do with email. So I'm going to just manually send this along now and close this file. And I should mention for payroll, we can also assign an email PDF password so you can password protect those emails. This little thing is just Windows 10 acting up. So I'm going to open my email then, and we're going to go take a look at that email that I just sent. I thought I gave it enough time. Maybe I need to do that one more time. My email's being scanned.
And just you mentioned about emailing and pay statements. That's one of the key things that a lot of our clients are using PrintBoss for now, because you can't email out pay statement security. That's one of the key features that clients are purchasing it.
Right. So you can see right now that.
But that's
oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
This is the email then that was generated. I renamed the PDF just for remittance. That was done in the PrintBoss form. Of course, I sent it to myself so you could see it. And you can put anything here for the message and body. I just did something simple, but if you want something more elaborate, that can be added too. And then the remittance itself is a copy of the document that was sent to PrintBoss. So this is the AP file that was generated from the file that I printed to PrintBoss. Now I'm going to go back and show you the email feature. I mentioned that there are copies for the forms. Those copies have different choices, and email in particular is going to be under Options, Email Settings. For email, PrintBoss has several choices. You can see that I have Outlook selected right now, but if I remove my Outlook, you can have an SMTP address for just a straight SMTP. You can have a Gmail account. You can have Office 365. And with Office 365, there is, and Gmail both, there are automatic setups. For Office 365, the correct SSL account will also be selected. In email settings, when you're working with Outlook directly, you don't need to use the default addresses, but they are available for SMTP. On miscellaneous settings, you can set PrintBoss to skip the email if there's no email address, and I'll go back and show you that in the form in a moment. You can also set overflows to combine. Here I have mine set to combine when both the email address and the document number are identical. Then it will combine the pages. For example, if you have an overflow for your EFT, then this will combine it into one PDF attached to one email. Right now I have my email set to always pause so you can see what's going on. Typically it would be set to never pause, and so it would just flash past your screen and do its thing, and you wouldn't see what it was actually doing. And of course the PDF attachment resolution is set in email too. This is separate from the PDF copy that I have created in PrintBoss as well. And then we do have security, and then this is the area where we set up the message body and subject. So I have my subject there. With the text editor, I can edit the body, and in this case I added 3 variables. So the information for the recipient name, the amount, and the doc date are all being pulled from that PrintBoss form. Any questions about email and what you can do with it?
Can you add an image, like your corporate logo?
On the form or in the email?
In the email.
If you do use HTML instead of plain text, then yes, add a logo.
Okay.
So the email body I created was just in plain text because it was faster, and if I showed you the code, you wouldn't see necessarily the results. So I made it simple.
Okay.
Yes, with HTML you can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I'm going to go back now and show you some of the other things from the file that we just created, some of the other features. And actually I'm going to do this differently. I set my file to archive, so when it completed, it's no longer in my work file, it's now in my archive file. So I'm going to go to my archive file and show you how PrintBoss processes copies. So for the 4 copies that we have for the form, we have process page commands for each one to determine whether it's going to be processed or not. So the first one was a printed copy. It would print if there was no email address. So since there was an email address, it was skipped, which is the capital S. The second one was for a positive pay file, and I had conditions for that as well. The PDF was going to always process, so the PDF is, capital D, indicating that it was created. And then email was looking for the condition that there is a valid email address. And I shouldn't say valid. I think the way I said it is it was not empty. And then since it wasn't empty, it was able to go ahead and process the email. I'm going to go out to edit the form and change this so now I can create the positive pay file. I'm just going to comment this for a moment. Typically, of course, you wouldn't be using a positive pay file if you're sending EFT statements. But when you're doing live checks, you may want to use the positive pay feature. So I'm going to, from here, generate that positive pay file now that I've changed the format. And that was being saved automatically to a positive pay file that I created here. So that file was just now created. And this is a sample file that came with PrintBoss. But if you need something done that does not match the sample file in PrintBoss, then we can provide you with that information as well. So the positive pay file gets generated for every check in the batch. I only had one check in the batch in this case, and can be saved any place on your computer. So I'm going to go back to PrintBoss and show you where that is saved. And you don't have to remember any of these screens because we will assist you in setting this up. So on my multi-parts and printers tab, here's my positive pay copy, and there's my sample positive pay file. So I'm going to open this positive pay, and you can see that I can set the path for this positive pay file. I can choose to confirm the path at runtime or not. And then, of course, you can choose, if you want to start a batch or how you want the overwrite command to be set. So my positive pay file right now is just named by the date and a numeric addition. So if I have more than one positive pay file in a day and they may be from different banks, then it would have the date and then like 000102 to increment that file. But you can see that you can set that date yourself, and it does use variables. Any questions about positive pay? If not, I'm going to show you the PDF feature. So the PDF is a tab in PrintBoss once it is selected in the PrintBoss form. And on the PDF tab, again, we can set that file path. So for this file path, I have a folder, a PDF folder on my C drive, but I'm naming my file by the doc recipient, the check number, and the day that it was created. Again, you can choose if you're going to generate it with each new document, each new page, each new or started batch. You have overwrite choices, you have resolution choices, and in addition to PDF, PrintBoss can also generate TIFF files, JPEGs, and bitmaps if needed. So there's a lot going on in this little application. Again, I'm going to go back to my folder, and this time on my C drive, I'm going to choose PDF. You can see there is the file that was created for, or the folder that was created for this particular document, and again, there is the file. You will notice that there is no micker at the bottom of the PDF file within, or the routing number and account number that you would normally see on the check. PrintBoss has the ability to conditionally print information on different copies. So whereas my check copy would not have a frame around it and would display the micker tab or the routing number and account number at the bottom, the PDF was set not to display that information. Similarly, the PDF that I sent in the email also did not display that information. Let's see. Okay, so far we have covered positive pay, PDF, and email. Now I'm going to talk about where that email address comes from. Typically, with our Sage 300 clients, the email would be assigned at the root of the PrintBoss raw data, and the email would either come through the PrintBoss trigger or a field would be placed on the PrintBoss form, or we'll pick it up, from the Crystal report. So you can assign those values in PrintBoss and then use them in the PDF files for emailing whatever is needed. In this case, my sample file didn't have an email address, so I've added a payee list entry to my bank so I can use that to store my email address. That's typically used for accounting systems where they can't place the email address directly on the report, but I wanted you to see that the way PrintBoss is picking up all this data is by assignments that are made in the raw data. So based on any of these fields, we can conditionally do other things. The payee list itself, I'm going to get out of the archives, and we're going to go to the bank. So everything that we edit is under the edit list. And then the bank, I changed the name when we printed. I think it's this one right here. Okay, so our bank itself, this is a sample of a US ACH file, but this is where I added the payee list. The payee list is added to the bank list. It doesn't have to be used for ACH. And then that payee list also lives under the edit menu. So now in my common file, this is the individual that we picked up from PrintBoss to print. I added my email address right there, so when it hits that bank, it looks for a match. On this case, the payee ID, you can see the highlighted field. It found a match on the payee ID, and then can provide any information from this list to PrintBoss. In this case, I picked up the email address in order to send that on to PrintBoss.
Wouldn't it normally be picked up from Sage 300 and the payee there, yeah, right? And
it was, but I didn't have it here, so I just showed
it. I'm sorry, I realized that. I just wanted to make it clear that all of that AP information is actually held within 300, and you don't have to actually do it here in PrintBoss. You actually do it in accounts payable, and that can be the contact name, or it can be whatever you want it to be, so long as it's in the AP vendor setup. That can be picked up and put in. And I think what you were saying earlier, Paula, that the information for the amounts and everything else, that will come out of Crystal, but again, that comes from the AP information that is in the tables in Sage 300.
That is correct, and it works the same way with payroll. It's in the tables within Sage 300, and that is where it's being picked up on the Crystal report.
I hope you didn't mind me coming in here. I just want to make it clear because it may not be obvious to people who are not used to PrintBoss. That's all.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you.
And that's a really good point. I think that we should probably identify clearly for anybody listening that doesn't know PrintBoss really well. The point of PrintBoss is to be able to do amazing things with no effort on the part of the user, so that all of the information to make decisions about what to send, when to send it, what to suppress, information to suppress on the check, like Paula would suppress the microline so that there wouldn't be bank information on a copy. All of that happens automatically. When you install PrintBoss and you use it, you use standard Sage keystrokes, and the check is printed or an email is sent. All of that happens automatically, And Paula has just been showing us all the different ways that you can do it automatically. But the bottom line, which is most important, is that when you use PrintBoss, you don't have to think. You can just print, and all the amazing things that you want to happen, they will happen.
And normally what happens when you're printing from Stage 300, either directly to PrintBoss or from the preview, PrintBoss opens automatically as well. So where I have it opened on my screen so you can see what it looks like, it would normally launch automatically, process, and you can even set it to close afterwards. So there's no maintenance that you need to do once it's set up. It just, responds and processes and does everything on its own. So does anybody have a question of something that they would like to do that they haven't seen PrintBoss do? Because it might be able to do it.
I think this is Stu again, and I'd like to add one thing, that as Paula has set this up, this is a payroll illustration, and when PrintBoss prints it, some of the people are direct deposit and some of them may not be. And in that case, the decision as to whether to print a check or send an email is done by PrintBoss, and you don't have to think about it. And the people that need to get a valid check, that's what they'll get. People that need to get an invoice because they have direct deposit, that's what they'll get. And again, there's no thought and no activity required by the user.
And the differentiation between an EFT and a check in PrintBoss is an entry in that payee list, an active entry. So if PrintBoss finds an active entry in the payee list, it will process it as, a direct deposit statement versus a live check. Or we could also use the non-neg flag that is printed from the Crystal report.
Another area we get asked about is the routing of various forms, which you sort of showed, but where we might have an OE order that has to go to one person, and a purchase order might have to be emailed to a different person in the, is there a way of setting that up, showing that?
I don't have a work file currently to show that, but yes. Give me the example again, and you're talking about OE and a purchase order is going to one person and what's going to the other?
Well, where an OE order might be going to the purchaser for that client, he may not necessarily be the AR person, the main contact in Sage 300. But the OE,
got it.
Yeah.
So we can assign different email addresses within PrintBoss to send different copies to different individuals. And that can be conditionally set up in the PrintBoss form as well. So as the example implied. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's all right. Finish, Paul, and I'll chime in.
I was just going to say, as the example was given, if you need to send an AR invoice to one person and a PO to someone else, then in PrintBoss, based on the copies, it will have, you can send different emails to different people, and of course you'd have different email copies within PrintBoss. You'd have multiple email copies within PrintBoss to make that happen.
We've done a trigger also to change logos within a run and that sort of thing, and it's just a conditional statement. It's fairly simple for us to help you set that sort of thing up, and so there really it's quite unlimited in the way that you can make things work. It's especially as Paula showed, you can have 4 different types of printing happening off one form, and that can be useful, but it can also be that it goes to particular drawers in a printer if you wanted it to, and that sort of thing. Anyway, that's just things that you can think about.
It's interesting as you hear more of what PrintBoss can do, that there are so many things that it seems like it gets confusing, but I'm going to say again that once it's set up and you have different copies of a document going to different people, being emailed to different people, the different copies may even look different. All of that happens with no effort on your part at all. You just set it up the way that you want to, and then PrintBoss, you simply print the documents, and PrintBoss does all the distribution and makes the distribution decisions on its own.
And the other core thing that I know we didn't really talk about it, but the core thing for anybody that doesn't have PrintBoss, if right now they're printing on multiple check stock because they have different banks, PrintBoss handles that perfectly with a blank check stock that microcodes for that particular bank, so you're not changing check stock and forgetting which one's in the printer and so on. You just maintain one set of check stock and it's blank. It's a little cheaper than buying custom check stock, and then you never make a mistake. The software knows which bank to print to.
And of course, is more safe as well, because you don't have pre-printed microlines sitting around for someone to, borrow and print their own checks. Instead, PrintBoss is printing the checks. One other thing that we haven't mentioned, and I didn't set up for this, PrintBoss also offers secured signatures. The secured signature is unique to PrintBoss in terms of the file type. Only PrintBoss reads that file type. It also is coded to a USB key or a CD. So the signature cannot be used until that device is inserted into the computer, and then it can preview and print the signature once that device is inserted. Otherwise, there's no signature there. And for those who have long check runs with lots of signatures, it saves so much time to have it done electronically rather than have someone sign each one.
That's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that. Although we're trying to move a lot of our clients to working with an EFT so that they're not printing and signing checks and stuffing them in envelopes and paying Canada Post, but absolutely the signature key is a good point. We have a number of clients that are using it.
I only mention that because a lot of people are going to electronic funds transfer, but we do still have those few who like to, still send them, print them out and send them.
When you have EFT, then you want to send out remittances advices, so that doesn't, and of course you want to send them out as PDFs or something like that, and make everything electronic so that people know, A, that it's coming, and B, when it was sent.
Correct.
And PrintBoss is a really very convenient bridge between doing things electronically and doing things as many of us have done in the past physically, where you're printing checks and then you want to move to EFT payments. You can mark people in PrintBoss as EFT or ACH clients or as a live check, and then you just print all of your checks, and those that have requested to be paid electronically get paid that way, and those that want checks, the check is written. So again, you don't have to think about it. You just mark it in PrintBoss, and each of the vendors will be paid exactly the way that they want to.
And again, there's also some settings in Sage 300 that drive that as well. Any other questions?
So
Go ahead, Stuart.
So we've covered a little bit of ground with in the demonstration. We've talked a lot about a positive pay file, and just in case somebody doesn't know what that is, a positive pay file is actually a security feature between you and your bank, and your bank says they won't cash a check unless you approve it. And the way you approve it is by sending each time you print or run a check, you send them a file, and it has information about the checks, and that goes right into the banking system. And if every check that's printed doesn't agree with what you sent them with regard to the amount of the check, the payee, the date, then the check isn't processed. And that's an enormous security feature, and PrintBoss simply supports it. It creates the file that the bank wants, and it does it automatically as it's done everything. And so the positive pay is a security feature that PrintBoss supports. And the other things that we've talked about are all conveniences in terms of distribution of documents that PrintBoss supports distributing a document in many different ways. If you want the same document distributed differently in email and hard-coded or hard copy, and it does all of it based on conditions that you put into Sage, and PrintBoss actually reads the documents that it's printing, and then it can tell by the person that it's going to or by other information that's on the document what to do, whether to email it or print it. So the whole philosophy is no extra keystrokes for you and no extra thought. You just have to print checks, print invoices, whatever you're printing, and PrintBoss will make a lot of decisions with regard to the distribution of that document, and it'll do it all automatically. So if we, go ahead.
Go ahead.
If anybody, I'm just, if there are any other questions, or if anybody has something that a customer that they wonder whether PrintBoss could accommodate something, I'd love to answer specific direct questions about a unique way of distributing a document that we could answer in this call. Hearing none, is there anything else that anybody would like to see about how PrintBoss works? The main point of PrintBoss is that when you're using it, you don't see how it works because it just does everything it's supposed to do without any input from the operator.
You had mentioned before, Stuart, about the positive pay. Anybody on the line, have they been requested to do positive pay with their banks? I know we've had a couple of clients that have had that as a requirement from the bank because of some fraud issues. Just curious if anybody out there that's on the line now has had that or come across that.
Sometimes people are asked, as you just indicated, to do positive pay because there's been a fraud issue, but positive pay as a security feature is as good, is the best security that you can have for checking accounts, because It's the only one that is directly between you and the bank. You print checks, you send information to the bank, and if your information doesn't include the check that the bank is trying to clear, it's not cleared. So it's a really effective security feature to put on your bank account if the banks charge something for it, but it absolutely eliminates check fraud for your account. And that's why we felt so so strongly that PrintBoss should support a security feature that was that effective.
There are a couple of other things I was going to point out quickly, and that is I mentioned that PrintBoss can archive. There's a number of choices for archiving, but a popular one is archiving completed records. When the archive file is created, we can also attach the year or date behind it for archiving for those who want to, keep a batch of that file in case they need to reprint something or resend it over time. And another feature that is often popular besides the archiving method is, and sorry, I just blanked out what I was going to say. Give me just a moment. Security. Oftentimes people ask about security within PrintBoss. And security in PrintBoss is under the options menu with security. There is a master password that can be used to access security. And there are 2 or 3 levels of security in PrintBoss, or technically 3. First of all, you can remove any basic rights that you don't want all users to have. Anything that you remove from here, you can add to a specific user on the Advanced User Rights tab. In addition to basic security, there is advanced security, which works in reverse. It removes everything and then puts back exactly what you want someone to use. There's also bank security within PrintBoss. So we can enable bank security. And that allows you to add security directly to the bank records within PrintBoss. I have to sign in as an administrator first, but just so you know, you can password protect specific bank records. That will allow you then to provide that password to specific users. So when they log in to this bank record, they would have to enter either a password or be put onto a list to be able to access the bank record. So we do have very good security for the information that is within PrintBoss.
So PrintBoss just improves every aspect of creating documents, starting with checks. It makes it more secure, it makes it more convenient, and it makes it more flexible. And when you implement PrintBoss to do all of those things, it makes it there's no additional effort to accomplish everything. So we wrote PrintBoss. And it should just be part of every single Sage accounting product because it gives you so many more options with no additional effort.
Hello. I have a question about archive. Can we go into that?
Yes.
My archive section, I would call it, is very, very long, like maybe the one you're showing on the screen. Is there a way to manage that, file it so that you can keep it because I use a syntax that I can easily go back and find what I need, but that list is getting long, and I was wonder how, is there a way to clean it up, or do you just delete when it's very old?
If you have a lot of work files or archive files that are set by date, you can certainly just delete them when they're old. That's what I often do. I periodically go through and call out those files that are old. And again, it's just as simple as selecting a work file and just delete. I mean, it's an archive file, but it's a work file that's been made into an archive file. So it's the same process. You just right-click on it and choose Delete Work File, and then it's gone.
Okay.
Okay. With the work files, you can set them to delete after a period of time. This is a feature that not a lot of people are aware of. So if we were looking at a specific work file and wanted to only keep it for a short period of time, oops, I didn't do that right. This is what I wanted to do. In addition to deleting or archiving files, you can also set it for so many days. So if you wanted to delete the work files after so many days instead of keeping them in the archives forever, you could do that as well. And once you choose, for example, delete records after 0 days, you can say, okay, I want it to delete after 365 days or however many days you want that to be.
And in addition to deleting, sometimes people want to have files for longer than whatever period of time you're talking about. And we often recommend that people choose a time frame, whether it's a year or 6 months, and then copy the archive file to a dated file, so that you can, when you're looking back through your files, you can go to the year that you want and find the file in it, but then your main archive file that is connected to directly to PrintBoss doesn't get just out of control. So that's a really effective and important way to manage your archive files, is just tell PrintBoss each year we're going to start a new archive file.
And that's handled on the Special Control tab under the Archive File Name Suffix or the Work File Name Suffix. You can choose from the drop-down list, or you can make up your own pattern and type it in there. I always have a 2-digit year that I use for my archives.
Anybody have any questions?
We appreciate everybody taking the time and learning a little bit more about PrintBoss. And we say again, if you come up with any kind of issue related to the distribution, printing and distribution of documents, please ask us, because I'll bet PrintBoss will do it.
Sylvain, did you have a question?
No, it's been answered. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And Stuart, thank you. And Paula, thank you very much for doing this for our clients. I really appreciate everybody's time this afternoon. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to flip me an email. My email is easy, jim@da.ca. Most of you know me anyway. But I really want to thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit about an extra product that can help you in your day-to-day operations in Sage. Again, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.